Hey everyone, if you're listening to this episode just as it comes out, then you're probably not too late to come to the next Cast Party episode live recording. We do it every 2 months or so on the Complex Action Actual Play YouTube channel. This time, it's on Monday, April 24th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. That's going to be tomorrow or today, depending on how fast you listen to this episode after it came out. We'll be talking about the team's trip to Charleston. We'll probably talk about Wada and her introduction to the team, as well as what the team knows about Haley and where things are going in the Haley story. So check it out. It's a lot of fun. We take questions live from the audience if you want to ask questions about anything about the players or me, the GM. Just come on to the show. Again, it's at the Complex Action Actual Play YouTube channel, and it's going to be on April 24th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. Now on with the show. You're listening to the Complex Action Actual Play podcast. Leeroy has been unsuccessfully trying to process the recent traumatic events of almost drowning in the ocean amongst a terrible mana storm and an attack by pirates. So, he finally decides to treat himself with some of his usual therapeutic means: booze. Now please enjoy episode 36, Irrational Fears Are Irrational. Leeroy is diving deeper into his bottle tonight. I'm going to wake up in the third day in a row with a hangover.
Well, you got to build up a resistance to your hangovers.
Sure.
Yeah, when Throwback gets home, I'm just going to bust out all of the hardware kit again and go ahead and spend that last hour I needed. Got the final 2 hits to
I was going to say, if you haven't rolled it, don't bother. I'm sure you'll get it. Well, I guess if you haven't rolled it, you should, because you might glitch.
I did, yeah. I just rolled the 5th hour. That's why I was down to 5 dice, so I wanted to make sure I didn't glitch. Yeah, it's probably good practice. You need to always roll for that, because I'd love it for you to critically glitch on a. Yeah, that's a fun one. That's gonna be a fun one to glitch one day. So, but yeah, this time back up to the tip-top shape, and then I probably turn and look at the other cyber deck, and then I just go to bed, because the daunting task of changing ownership is something that if I've ever done it, it's probably been a while, and it's really scary.
So what are your, just briefly, what are your plans with that cyber deck? Are you going to try to fence it, or are you going to try to keep it?
I think we want to fence it. I'll confirm with the team tomorrow, but that's kind of what Throwback wants to do.
Do you have a contact that you would go through in mind?
I'd really like to get Wada involved, and we could have her do the test ourselves to find a buyer.
Okay, great.
The core has a whole section in there about, it's like an extended etiquette test based on the availability. Negotiation's the second step. You first have to find a buyer, which is etiquette.
Okay, I thought they were both negotiation.
Yeah, I think it's an extended etiquette to start with.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's extended etiquette to find a buyer.
Yeah. And I've never got to do it, so I think it'd be really cool to actually give it a shot live.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. It'll give me, since Cassie's not here tonight, it'll give me time to decide how I want to handle think more on.
Just give us full price.
Yeah, just
full price.
Resale.
Yeah.
I'll just forge up a receipt really quick, and we'll sell it back to Ren Rocket.
Yeah, wholesale. I figured, yeah, if you changed ownership, then you double the listing price, right?
Right. Yeah, that's just common sense, really.
A cool 500, a cool $500,000 right there.
Yeah, easy peasy. No, so yeah, in character, I just want to have the team basically decide whether or not they want me to try and change ownership, and then otherwise, I think I'd like to see Wada try to actually do the test for it.
I don't know what that means. It sounds like a good idea.
It's really dangerous to have this.
Do I have to be there?
You probably should. If something goes wrong, then cops are going to show up.
Oh.
So I shouldn't be there.
Oh, you should.
I'll watch your back.
I'll buy you a 6-pack.
Some preps made up and a few spirits on hand. Cops show up, they'll wish they hadn't.
Yeah.
Rather, we're going to run away without hopefully fighting any of them and leaving a big mess for them to deal with. so we move away and not kill a bunch of cops is what I really mean by that.
Yeah, that was much more eloquently put the second time.
And Leeroy doesn't kill people. He just gives them hugs. Makes them go to sleep.
Lots of hug. All right, so yeah, it sounds like we're gonna have me try to get that. Actually, let me just double check out of character my dice to see if I can even hit 24.
Can we just say that I spend a bunch of time making preparations so if something does go wrong, I can roll them quick?
Yeah, that's fine. As long as you're not making like force a million preparations, I'll give it to you.
It'd be typically mostly force 4 stuff. Things like a couple improved reflexes, some armors for everybody, a few low force combat senses. Typically things that will take like 2 or 3 drain, maybe a little bit of nap in. And I want to have a force 6 spirit on standby as well. Fire spirit.
You're gonna have hours too. Each of these tests, I believe, is an hour in itself.
Yeah, sure. The spirit will roll for. Well, no, because you would have time to for any of this drain. You'd have time. So just go ahead and give it. I'm not gonna make us go through all the effort because if he does just fine on this, then we'll have spent a bunch of time doing this for nothing.
Yeah. So if he does glitch, then I'll roll some stuff and see if I have drain and whatnot.
That's good, especially if it's a glitch on the first hour. All right, go ahead and roll it. I'm not going to ask for each one. If you want to be rolling that while I ask other people some questions, go ahead.
Sounds good. I'll let you know if something catastrophic happens.
Yes, please do. So, things that I know that people might be doing over the course of the 2 weeks is I know that so Leeroy, it sounds to me like Leeroy's spending a lot of time alone in bars at night. Is that right?
Yeah, that's more or less his deal right now.
Tell me a little bit about what Leeroy's. Why is Leeroy spending so much time in bars alone at night?
So he's a big, tough dude that almost died, and that's kind of facing your own mortality is not something that he usually does. And
when he was in, what bar is he going to? Is it that one that they've been to, that you guys have been to a lot, the Wig?
Probably if that's close to where he lives. Or
he lives in the general area of the Horseshoe, right? Because it's pretty close. It's in walking distance of the Horseshoe.
That sounds like a plan.
All right. Well, you go in, of course. By now, Walter, the guy who's always bouncer at the door, is expecting you. He's like, Leeroy, back again.
Yep, just give him a little handshake and a nod, and just the look of a very tired man who's not happy that he's sober. Because, it helps you to sleep and not think about drowning.
While when you sit down, the bartender, Willie, he sees you and kind of gives you that raised eyebrows and like greeting you, but he's got that kind of like, it's almost like a forced smile because maybe Leeroy's been kind of a dour mood at the bar the past couple of nights.
Probably.
And he says, "Oh, Leeroy, here." And he sets you up with your usual drink and everything, and puts it on a coaster or something, and puts it in front of you and says, "How's it going? Been in here a lot lately."
Yep. Drink of beer.
What's been going on, pal? He's like very obviously trying to force conversation out of you.
Is the bar busy tonight?
I don't know. What time did you go?
So when I used to go out with my friends, like not necessarily to the bar, but out to like the clubs or whatever, we had a time that was called loser early. It's for all the people that like get there right as soon as actually possible.
It exists.
And I feel like that would that would be the time that he is there. So probably like 7:30, where you're not there for like to get something to eat, but it's probably not tasteful for you to be there to get drunk at that hour.
Sure. So yeah, it's there are a couple people there, people who are probably finishing meals or maybe just getting like one or two groups of friends who are just there in the corner or something. And he says, he says again, so things been okay with you lately? Like I said, you've been in here a lot.
I'm going to imagine this is probably like the second or third night that maybe he's tried to get just like a little like, all right, and I've probably shut him down a little bit the other nights with. It's just like, you know what? Frag it. And he'll put his beer down and kind of square his shoulders. I almost died.
Ah, really? What happened?
I'm not sure that you would believe me if I were to tell you, but it involves pirates.
When you first said I almost died, you know, like he's a bartender. He's heard lots of stories from people who come in and drink, and he like hadn't stopped. You know, he was like preparing the bar, you know, cleaning glasses, that kind of thing. And when he said, "Oh yeah, really, what happened?" And at the mention of pirates, he kind of raises his eyebrow and turns around and stops what he's doing. He says, "Pirates? Like on Lake Murray?"
Is that what we were on?
That's the lake. You were in the ocean.
Gotcha. So it'll just be a, you know, big pull off the beer. Nope. Ocean pirates.
Oh man.
Out. Couldn't see land. Middle of nowhere. Neptune's nutsack. And pirates.
Wow. Pirates, man. That's something. Let me ask, out of character, this is a bar that Shadowrunners are not uncommon at. You know, it's kind of like a Shadowrunner bar. Would the bartender know that you're a Shadowrunner?
It's one of those things again of the not quite air quotes Shadowrunner thought process yet. But
yeah, I was just thinking to myself, does Leeroy realize yet that he's a Shadowrunner even?
Given as the entirety of like that first real job, he spent it in the hold of the ship, being terrified that he was about to die, then probably, you know, that's not one for boosting one's self-confidence.
Well, he says, what were you, was it one of those cruises? You know, they talk about pirates attacking cruise ships sometimes. Were you on a cruise or something?
Some magical Drek, I don't know. It was supposed to be simple, get a little money. Yeah, pirates.
Wow, Drek, man.
Finishes his beer.
Pirates. He kind of like thinks to himself and nods and gets back to work. But he can tell that you know, that you're not super eager to talk, but he's definitely will eagerly listen if Leroy's in the mood to give him more information because he's intrigued by the pirates thing. But he's not going to pry anymore unless Leeroy wants.
More information will come as more booze comes. Like, this is his first like real release of all of that horrible I almost died in the one thing that I can't stand kind of situation. I don't want to throw out the term like post-traumatic stress because that's not fair to everyone who actually.
I understand you don't want to be insensitive to that, but yeah, I get it.
And since, you know, he's not a well, let's be honest, as somebody who runs the shadows and does criminal stuff, not a well-adjusted individual, he doesn't think to go get help for these things. He thinks to drink until he can't be conscious because that's basically helping, right?
Right. Well, he definitely listens and asks questions and, you know, as tastefully and respectfully as he can. You know, he's an experienced bartender. He knows how to ask the right questions. But yeah, he tries to pull anything out that he thinks might be therapeutic for Leeroy to say.
I think he would give some of the details about how, like, lots of magical Drek going on and not really understanding that, and then being in the water.
Sure. He's like, man, that sounds crazy. Magic and pirates and, whew, I don't know what I would have. Man, how'd you get out of the ocean anyway? You fell in.
He takes a long time to kind of just find the right words. I don't know.
You don't even know? Like somebody didn't jump in and grab you, or you didn't climb up back into the boat? What, did you black out or something?
I had given up. I gave up. I was going to die there.
But you didn't?
Sure didn't.
So, I mean, something had to have happened.
I think it was the kid.
Huh. Well, he knows, you know, what you're referring to from the vague details you've given him, and he says, I guess that makes sense. I don't know much about that stuff, but, you know, yeah?
just kind of shrugs.
Well, you know what? You're alive, and that's important. And he hands you he slides you another drink.
Gratefully take it.
All right. Well, after you start to look too sauced, he'll politely say that maybe you should appreciate the luck that you have, and show some respect for the universe that saved you by resting it off a little bit tonight, and he'll see you tomorrow.
I will kind of take his advice and stumble home and into who knows where before I get there.
Give me a body and willpower roll. Tell me what you get.
3.
All right. You make it. You wander onto the horseshoe a little bit, and it's not the morning by the time you wake up and find yourself like you had nodded off. Not sure if you fell asleep or if you just kind of fell into a daze for a little while, but you find yourself on one of the benches there in the horseshoe and realize, oh wait, this isn't home, and then you make your way home before the morning.
Sounds about right.
So I know that Elric at one point had been thinking about calling Z-Trip.
Yeah, Elric's got lots of plans for the next few days, so calling Z-Trip is pretty high in his list. He'll probably the next or after we've got the whole cyberdeck thing squared away, and assuming no one came and attacked us while Throwback was doing the job on that.
I have the results on that, if you want to touch on it really quick.
Yeah, good point. Thanks for reminding me of the big thing you guys were doing. Tell me.
So yeah, over the course of 7 excruciatingly tense, terrifying hours, Throwback does battle with the hardware, the Renraku cyberdeck that was stolen from the pirates. Going into hour 7... Throwback is probably looking very pale. He's probably covered in sweat. He's no longer wearing a shirt.
Also, Elric's probably gotten on your nerves a lot by asking lots of questions.
Yeah, so for the first 2-3 hours, I would have been taking time to explain things and show things to you. I haven't said a word that you've understood in the last 4 hours. I'm speaking tongues almost at this point. Like I said, at one point I just handed you my shirt. And it just kind of did that thing where you just kind of I push it into you enough so you just instinctually take it from me, and yeah, I'm just entirely focusing on the cyber deck. By hour 7, I'm at wit's end. There's a mix of tears and sweat dripping down my face, and that is when Payday showed up to give me that assist that I very desperately needed to score the final 3 hits, as I was only giving. I only had 3 dice left on hour 7, and without Payday's assist, I would not have had enough dice to get the remaining hits I needed. But luckily got it, and was able to change the ownership.
Short, grumpy man for the win.
Yeah, so
Way to go!
Yeah, I come in, I'm it doesn't. There's nothing there. There's nothing there that can possibly happen. There's supposed to be a switch here. We've got all the prep work. The switch is right here. We just need to toggle it, but it's not there. And you can just lean in and flip the switch.
That
looked like it was really intense and exciting for you. It was really boring for me.
Where's my shirt?
Oh, I had the chance to run into the laundromat with my other stuff. I'll bring it back.
Why do you have my
tomorrow. Well, you gave it to me. I assumed you wanted me to wash it or something, but I haven't been able to leave because want to make sure I'd be here if the cops showed up.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna take a nap, and I'm just gonna wheel to the couch and just collapse.
Well, that was exciting.
Well, you guys have a nice clean. Cyberdeck.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think he was seeing all kinds of stuff in the Matrix while I was doing this?
Yeah, he definitely was seeing things in the Matrix while you were doing that.
Okay, good. Because otherwise,
you were here for the whole 7 hours.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, what if the cops show up? I got to be here to watch his back.
Well, that must have been exciting.
Yeah. For a minute there, I was a little bit worried he was going to ask me to wash his back, but But he just didn't seem to really realize I was there. So
Why would he ask you to do that?
well, I don't know. You're hanging out with the dude. He takes off his shirt and hands it to you. What else are you supposed to think?
And your thought would be that he's going to ask you to wash his back.
No, not specifically. It was a kind of a pun. Never mind. I shouldn't try to be funny.
All right, so Elric is going to call Z-Trip. How long is it going to take before, it's been it's been like at least 3 days since your job you guys went on.
Yeah, I think the morning of the third day after the job, I'm just going to swing by their place.
That place that you guys went to meet him that one time, where all the neon Discord people were?
Yeah, because Elric assumes they lived there. Right.
When you get there, it's as usual. It's even in the middle of the day, in the morning, there's still music playing, and someone would have, there's people hanging out outside, and they would have, as Elric walks up, they say, "Excuse me, what's up?"
I'll walk up and say hi. Hey, you guys are in a Z-Trips group, right?
Furrows his brow, kind of like, who are you?
Elric opens up his mouth as if to form the shape of the letter E, and stops. Gives out a heavy sigh, kind of sinks a little bit, and then looks up with this sort of annoyed, determined look at his face. They call me Stretch.
Oh, Stretch, yeah. Okay. Yeah, lights up like, I knew I recognized you somewhere.
Yeah, it's early. I get it.
Yeah.
What's your name?
My name's...
Or rather, what I should say is, what are you called?
Name's Echo.
Nice to meet you, Echo.
Yeah, you said you needed to talk to Z-Trip?
Oh, yeah, I had some info for him and some other business, maybe.
Is he expecting you?
Maybe? I kind of said I'd call him when I found something out.
All right. Well, if you'll hold on a second, if you don't mind waiting here.
I didn't say today. No, it's fine.
And he, Echo steps away, and then he comes back and he says, "Yeah, Z-Trip says come on in."
I nod, say thanks.
Says, "You know the way, right?"
I've only been here once.
All right, I'll show you. And he walks you in and through the place and takes you to his office.
I mean, I do have a cool trick, but sometimes people get nervous when he casts spells around him.
And he takes you back and takes you to Z-Trip, and Z-Trip's like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Yeah, some good, some bad. It's good to see you too. I got some info on Haley.
Ooh. Yeah. Come on,
it took so long. Yeah, we had some repercussions after our run and had to deal with some stuff. But anyway, Elric proceeds to tell him everything that he was told about Haley from Wada, leaving out the Wada-specific phrasings of things.
Right.
I will hold nothing back.
He says, "Oh, that's that's really strange and interesting." He's obviously rolling it around in his head, comparing it with like other information that he may have that maybe you don't have. Who knows? He's like really thinking about it, trying to put pieces together. And he's like, so he says that when did this other Decker guy say that he saw her, and he uses air quotes, saw her at this party?
Hey, she gave me some data here. I'm just going to share it with you. So,
all right.
Take out my comlink, invite Mark. There we go. I roll my computer skill. Oh, no problem.
All right. He says, he starts looking at it and he says, "That's interesting." He says, just a couple months prior. He seems to be doing like some mental math in his head, and he says, "I don't know. I thought that might tell me something, but because Haley with the amnesia, like he's rolling things around in his head, and he says, you know what?
It seemed like she was drugged or something. I mean, I don't know. You think if Haley was going with some Shadowrunners on an adventure out of town, she'd be all annoying the dreck out of them with her friendly, bubbly attitude, right? I mean, not to say she annoyed me. I love Haley, but people like Leeroy,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Not to say anything bad about Leeroy. I mean, he's a badass. Just put him in the room with someone like Haley. They're just opposite sides of some sort of a spectrum.
Well, Rudolph was the one, I guess, doing this. But you're right. That sounds out of character. Rudolph's. This is so confusing. Rudolph's not a bad guy, and I don't know why he would have done this unless he was trying to help her. And he's like thinking and saying the words slowly and trying to see if he believes them as he's saying them, kind of sort of thing. And
I'm sure he had his reasons, but he tried to talk her out of doing Shadowruns with us before. So what he thinks is best for her might not necessarily be what she wants to choose.
But what if she was, I mean, with the amnesia, what if she is this politician's daughter? What if, do you think Rudolph knows that?
I'm betting Rudolph got a call from the senator or someone who works for him, and that's what started this.
Frag, I don't know. I mean, Rudolph does know some people, yeah. This is...
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to do. I kind of want to watch and see. I don't think she's in any real danger of her life, but...
We need to get to the bottom of this, though.
Yeah, I agree. So, if you find
I
anything, I'd appreciate it if you'd share me, or if you get any ideas or leads or anything that, we can look into.
I do have an idea. It has to do with that stuff that you guys got from me last month. But it's we're probably going to need to have more of you here because it's going to involve some work, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, if it's going to involve some work, though, I mean, I'm all for just helping Haley for the sake of Haley, but the other people aren't just going to do it for Haley. So we've got to have some sort of angle on this that's going to bring in some Nugan as well. I hope you had that figured out already.
Well, I was kind of anticipating that it might go in this direction with what I'm talking about, and I don't have... I'll see what I can figure out. I've been thinking about that. Maybe you can set up a meeting with your team?
Yeah, sure. And there's some other stuff I want to talk to you about. I'm going to shift my astral perception and see if there's anything going on here in the astral.
No, it looks pretty mundane.
There don't appear to be any wards or anything.
Nope.
So is this like your base?
I mean, this is Neon Discord, baby.
Right. I just can't help but notice that you don't have any astral security here.
Well, I mean, truth be told, I think about it sometimes, but we try to keep ourselves on the down low and not attract too much attention, and the authorities in this town aren't exactly don't typically lean on the side of mojo, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, understood. But if you're interested, I could ward a section of the building which would prevent anyone from accessing without setting off a kind of alarm. Basically, I'd know they did it. I could send a spirit to investigate, maybe help out myself if I'm not busy. At least give you a call, let you know there's some astral intrusion.
Well,
I wouldn't recommend putting it on the whole building because that makes it obvious anybody walks by, you got something to protect. But we put it inside somewhere, guarding a certain area that you want to, be a little bit more secure in. I'd be happy to do that for you. And it's something I'd have to do on a semi-regular basis to keep up and running. But, well, think about what happened with my sister. We gotta think a lot more about protecting ourselves. They just waltzed in and took her. She didn't even have a chance to resist. She had no warning, no nothing.
That was some dreck, man.
Been there, or if we'd set up something, if she had cameras or anything to let her know and tip her off, she could have had a chance. I don't want to see that happen to anybody else.
There's a lot of crazy dreck that goes on in this town. People doing things that they probably shouldn't be allowed to do, and that's what we're about here, is trying to fight that system, like.
Right. Elric kind of nods with them.
We're trying to bring it back to the people, shift the balance of power in such a way that all this dreck that happened, the stuff that happens to your sister, stuff that happens, the whole reason that even Rudolph has the community that he has. Like, that's what we're trying to do, is to raise up the disenfranchised.
I hear you, and I want you to understand that I'm deeply a part of that, and part of that means I'm going to help watch your back, if you're okay with it.
He like has a serious look on his face, and he puts his hand, like if he, he leans in and puts his hand on your shoulder and looks at you very seriously, and he says, people like you, like me, we need to work together.
Understood. Yeah, I agree. And I got another favor to ask, actually, too. Not just a favor. I mean, I got the need to pay for it, but I need a really, really good fake sin. And I figured who better to go and talk to somebody like that than, somebody like you. Do you have those kind of resources, or, somebody who can get that or pull that off?
He smiles and leans back and says, I know people that can do that kind of thing. You came to the right person.
I need like a top tier unbreakable one with an accompanying license for magic use, because if someone senses me and checks my sin and they're an authority, they'll burn my sin. But I want like top level stuff. I mean, in game mechanics terms, Elric is looking for a rating 6 fake sin with a accompanying rating 6 license, which I think is like 18 availability.
Yeah, so he says, so you're looking for the whole 9 yards. You don't want somebody else's, like, you want your records, your DNA, your everything on file to look official.
Right, but of course not be me.
Sure.
I want a complete, solid identity that is as unbreakable as possible, because there's some direct that I'm going to have to do that's going to have to be on the system.
Well, you know what? I'll talk to my guy, and I'll see what I can work out. And you know what? If you can help me out with what you're talking about, I'll do some thinking about that wording. Maybe we can work out a deal. Maybe
I'll swing by about once a week. Take me a few hours.
Yeah, well, I'll think about that. We'll figure out something, and I'll talk to my guy first and find out what he needs and what he wants, and we'll talk.
All right, I go over the specs of how many meters I can cover. Let him know that I can make it bigger if he knows of any of the magicians he's willing to have assist with the ritual.
Right. I will.
It won't be super powerful, but I'm just looking to set up a basic ward, so if anybody does try to poke in, I'll know about it, and I can kind of watch their back.
Right. I will. Let's see.
And other downtime stuff I wanted to do was just pick up some more stim patches and reagents and a detection spell formula and start learning it.
Okay.
All pretty low availability stuff.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. How much does a rating 6 sin cost? Do you have that in front of you?
Yeah, it's $15,000 and then $1,200 for the license. I'm not offering extra money, but I'm willing to wait. I imagine it takes time to put something like that together.
Yeah, so he definitely gets a bunch of information from you, and he says he'll get back in touch with you about it after he talks to his person. And
Sounds good.
Let me make a note here so I don't forget to do that.
Let's see. I also wanted to give Gentleman G a quick call once I'm done visiting Z-Trip. I'll bid goodbye to Z-Trip. Maybe hang out with some of the people there a little bit. But I'm not gonna try to hang out in an area that it's restricted or anything. Maybe just hang out outside afterwards and chat with Echo. Maybe ask him a little bit of questions about how the Matrix thing works for him. I'll talk a little bit of magic stuff. Maybe chat a little bit about how some of my recent runs have been in some non-specific details.
Yeah, sure. Echo is really interested in what you're saying, and he likes all the like parallels and metaphors that you're using to compare technomancer stuff to and the Matrix in general to magic in the astral plane and stuff like that, and he's really into it. There's not a lot going on the inside, being earlier in the day, but he finds the conversation quite enjoyable. So Gentleman G doesn't answer the phone right away, but you can leave him a message and he'll call you back.
Yeah, I'll just leave a message then, and I'll go pick up my other stuff before I go home to start learning a spell.
Sure. Anybody else doing downtime stuff?
Probably.
Probably like what?
I'm gonna learn something.
All right. Well, once you figure that out.
Yeah, I don't know that any of it needs to be spoken aloud.
Sure. Yeah, if you're, I guess I mean specifically anything that people want to roleplay.
Okay. Yeah. thought you were putting us on the spot, like declare all downtime now.
It is going on the record.
I'm actually also, I should mention, over the course of the next few days, well, after meeting with Z-Trip, I'm gonna sit in it a couple days before I talk to anybody about it, because I'm a little bit nervous about. I know that Leeroy and potentially Payday might not be happy about me just dumping all that info.
Is it like a realization as you're on the way home, like, oh man?
No, he knew it going in, but he's like, it's the right thing to do. It's what I'm going to do,
okay.
and it's specifically why I'm doing it by myself. But he's also going to be, I mean, he already had his forge delivered there, so I have a mechanics shop at Payday's house. Elric is going to be gradually bringing various chunks of his belongings there, just bit by bit, and kind of hanging out and working there.
How does Payday feel about that?
Gradually insinuating himself as a roommate without ever actually bringing it up.
Right now, Payday is kind of, I'd say Payday is kind of pretending, or if he has noticed, he's not saying much right now because truthfully, he kind of likes having Elric around.
And I'm setting up a ward here, but an interior in the house, so any astral passersby wouldn't just see it glowing in the astral space.
Sure. But Payday definitely doesn't outwardly express that he tries to put on that facade that he's annoyed about him hanging out, right?
Oh yeah, guaranteed. I mean, he's annoyed about it, just about everything. So
sure, but I'm helping keep the place up, working on stuff.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where like he'll complain, but really he's not complaining too loud.
Well, I mean, Elric did clean the place for the first time. Achievement unlocked.
Yeah, he pretends he hates that.
Eventually, towards the end of the 2 weeks, it'll be more obvious things like showing up with groceries, doing all of our laundry.
Yeah, like he'll have thrown some some piece of trash out, like some piece of scrap trash out, and Payday will like have a flip out moment, like, it was right where I wanted it to be.
It's an organized mess.
But when it comes up to the point of playing lifestyle, let me know, because then he'll bring up the thing of like chipping in for that and moving out of his old place because Elric doesn't want to get picked up like his sister.
And Payday's super paranoid about people watching him all the time. And you do, if you spend time around him, you do notice that like he's constantly closing like blinds on, or like crappy broken blinds on his windows. He doesn't spend a lot of time outside of his place.
Yeah, so I won't like address it or try to get him out of the house or anything like that. I just try to let Payday be Payday. But if I pick up on things like that, I'll pick up some heavier interior curtains, like how people in Wisconsin put on their windows to help prevent the cold air from getting in. Well, I suppose in Canada too, there, Bobby, but Damien. Yeah, so later there's better stuff there to make it even more insulated.
Well, he likes that. And yeah, he's constantly checking things like his cameras, and he's constantly got fly spies up and about.
So what is Elric calling Gentleman G about?
Oh, sorry, yes. Elric just wanted to call Gentleman G and chat with him a little bit. Just touch base, let him know that ask him if have we talked to Gentleman G about what happened with
Yeah, that's what I was actually going to jump into. He actually calls Elric back and he says, Elric, I got your phone call, and hey, before anything starts, let me say I heard about your sister, and I don't know what to say because that happened because of the help that you gave us.
Yeah, it was a direct retaliation. I don't worry about I mean, I don't blame you for anything. It was how we handled things, how we played it off, and how we lived our lives. But
well, let me just say that it's
taking a little bit more attention to home security these days. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, to cap off, I guess that let me just say that I recognize and appreciate that was something that happened because you were extending service to us and helping our organization and things like that we remember.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I'm really happy to help you and your organization, but I'm going to have to be careful about being openly involved, if you understand. anything we have to do going on is going to have to be real subtle. But I am all for doing everything to make these people pay.
Well, these people, as you say, your sister's not the only victim. Let me just say that, and that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, well, if there's anything you can do, if you know people on the inside, or if you can find out exactly where she is or what cell, any info, because I'm not planning on leaving her there for her term, if you know what I mean. But whatever I do, it can't be anything hasty or half-assed. That, and if there could be anybody who can kind of watch things on the inside. I don't know how it really works. I've only just seen trids.
I understand what you're saying. I don't know that how helpful I can be, but I'll keep my eyes open and ears to the ground.
That said, if you know of anyone in the communities that you know of, I mean, not talking on the level of work we've done before, but say anyone who would benefit from magical healing, just give me a call, okay?
Oh, that's very generous of you.
Yeah, well, that's just something I can do to help. And if there's anything else like I or our team can do, let me know. Just
certainly. Well,
any of the work that's going to have to go our way is going to be subtle, because I think they can strike back at me through pillar with her behind bars like that. They've got leverage on me now.
Hold on just a second. He says, sure, yeah. There's actually a clinic that in town. They run some services and volunteer kind of services. I can call the guy. His name's he runs a shop out of close to where you are, and his name's Cutter. He's an elf.
Sounds good. I'll swing by and say hi. Thanks.
Yeah. He's we, like I said, he does some clinics. Maybe you can volunteer there. Who knows? But he's a good guy. All right, and he'll be on his way. And anything else?
Yep. I'll bid him farewell. I'll check in with Cutter and probably do some volunteering at the clinic.
Yeah, Cutter
I'm
is.
Sure, if you wanted to role play through that, or if that's just their description of my work for the people time.
Yeah, I figured that's where you were. That's the angle you were going here. So that's a good way for you to do that. Cutter is he's a street doc, and he's got I'm trying to quickly read through this stuff to give some information. Yeah, he's got a Swedish accent, and he's a shaman, a bear shaman.
Oh, okay. So he's already got the magic healing covered.
Yeah, but he definitely, like I said, they run a clinic, for a free clinic that takes monthly sort of thing where come in and get checked out and all that kind of stuff, that they're always taking volunteers and help around the community to help out with that. So you would be welcome helping out with something like that.
I did sink a point into first aid and medicine each, so.
Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. This show would not be possible without the generous support of our patrons over at Patreon. If you like the show and you want to help support it, head on over to patreon.com/complexaction. Supporting can get you access to GM notes and even the chance to get selected to join us as a guest on our cast party episodes that we do every once in a while. That's patreon.com/complexaction to help us out. There were several NPCs and organizations which were provided by patrons of Complex Action when we were in the production mode and gearing up to make everything, and those were featured in this episode. Walter, the Bouncer, submitted by Dean Wright. Gentleman G was given to us by Eric L. And Cutter was sent in by Kurodani. Thank you very much, guys, for supporting the show. The character art seen on our YouTube page and various other social media places was done by Ethan Brewerton. Check out his awesome Shadowrun artwork at esbrewerton.com. The background music in this episode is brought to you by Prism Shard. To hear more of his Shadowrun-inspired music, head on over to soundcloud.com/prism-shard and give him some love. The Topps Company Inc. has sole ownership of the names, logo, artwork, marks, photographs, sounds, audio, video, and or any proprietary material used in connection with the game Shadowrun. The Topps Company Inc. has granted permission to Complex Action to use such names, logos, artwork, marks, and or any proprietary materials for promotional and informational purposes on its websites, but does not endorse and is not affiliated with Complex Action in any official capacity whatsoever.